framing. You will see so many examples of this in the other boot camp videos. Just watch those. I can't do better than I've already done on those. But this trade framing process, you see, this is how you ensure that you have considered both sides of the trade. You've seen it from the other guy's perspective. You thought about it like the tiger stalking you. You're stalking the bunny and the tiger stalking you. This ensures that you see both sides of the trade. On a trade frame, what do I see? Describe the sense making that you get from the indicators. What are they saying? What is the bias according to the indicator? Just go through all that before you decide what it is. What do I see? What does it mean? Now, based on that, how far could it go in either direction? What could it do? Look at the Z3 lines. Look at the size of the legs. Look at the support and resistance. Those things. Where did it go? Which way do I want to trade? Which way could I trade? Now you start answering that is you start uncovering your bias. What led you to favor one side or the other, even though you're framing it in both directions? What made me want to go the other way? What's the basis for that impulse? Emotion or statistics? Why am I triggered that way? Know that. Where would I enter if I traded long and or short? Where's my entry? If I entered it, what price would tell me that that hypothesis failed? So if I go long, how far does it have to pull back that tells me that hypothesis is invalidated? Was it the belly of the dragon, the belly of the 10, the PSAR, a hybrid frog box, a ATR, whatever it is? What price tells me that that hypothesis is wrong? If I saw that price, would I stop and reverse? That actually means if it failed there, can I still see 2-to-1 reasonably available, and would I take that as a stop and reverse? That means I have to apply the same principles on my first failed trade to know that is my exit a stop and reverse, or was it just an exit? Now, I do that for every possible entry. Now, on a win, if I traded it the way I wanted to trade and it gave me a win. What's a win? An R. If it gave me an R, where would it stall? So I'm marking out the ladder of prices that tell me where resistance could reasonably occur. Where would it stall? Where in that stack of decision points do I decide that much money is mine and I'm more concerned about preserving the win than holding on to see what else it might do for more gains? There's some moment in that trade psychologically that you need to be in the profit preservation mode as your primary directive versus, no, give it room to let it go. That's a psychological state. That's a response to information. Anticipate where that thing could go, and did you decide ahead of time where you want to flip that switch and do it intentionally? Not based on how you feel in the moment, but based on my rules and my beliefs and my statistics and my average win. Don't let an average win become a losing trade. Don't let an above average trade become a below average trade. Don't let a plus 2R win become less than a 2R win. Know the difference between irrational exuberance and rational exuberance. That's all baked into that 2R battle drill. So where do I preserve the gains? Where is it my money? Now, if it hits my preservation, now what could it do? Where could it go now? Could it again reverse and go in my favor? Or could it come all the way back to the entry? So I'm now anticipating what could happen after I preserve the gains. Would I stop and reverse on my profit preservation and then immediately short it? Or no, just go to the next good pattern. Or, yes, stop and reverse because it was such an extraordinary gain and it's outside Z3 and I'm playing the other side of the trade. Well, depending on what happens, I answer that question differently, but I know what the criteria is to stop and reverse a winning trade. Not very often. It would have to be the owl. We saw the owl, and I didn't take the RLXD, but I took the owl reversal. That could convince me to stop and reverse after a winning trade, but not an immediate RLXD. Not necessarily. And then where would I re-enter? So if I got long and it worked and I preserved and then it started to resume, how do I get back in? That's usually the place where I would add a second position if I didn't get out. But it may be just in the pocket. It may be the continuation play. And it may be, no, a new high of the day or a new all-time high or whatever, an emerging dragon. But if you answer those questions on every trade frame, you will have applied professional grade due diligence, and you will have rehearsed every major decision that you must make on every trade before it even happens. And then and then you rehearse that. Then when you execute, you're just executing something that you have already seen and rehearsed, and no thinking required except see and respond. And then you minimize the cognitive effort of executing. You're executing a battle drill. You did all the work in the preparation phase, not during the execution phase. I don't want to think there. I want to do. Be the sword. Be the bowl. Whatever it may be. So if you apply that trade process and now listen to the way I did the multi-lens trade framing on last boot camps, that I couldn't do it better than that, so just study that one to death. And then see what that sounded like in November and December, and then see what happened in January through April. And you will see that that trade frame that day lasted for 4 months of informed decision making. So that is a very efficient way to do that. And oh, by the way, I update that lens every weekend when I do my little summaries. So when you heard me narrating those reports, it's with that other context already created and baked into the cake. That's how you do that. That deserves your attention. And those are the videos I want you to study from that boot camp. And that's everything I want to say today, short of the 37 strategies. What I offer you there is the opening paragraph of our conversation about each one of those core competencies. That's my starting summary. That's my elevator speech that triggers the lengthy speech. Every one of those could be a 20-minute or an hour-long discussion. You know me. I will not shut up. Give me a microphone and an hour and I'll fill it. My girls know that's true. They're not even laughing because they know it's just sad but true.